This is a response video for Project 8. These responses will be to Nathaniel Thomas, Mia Chavez, and Lucas Delgado. So first is Nathaniel Thomas. I like how he explains everything. He explains like the 3 principles, which are recall, recognition, and relearn. I feel like we had pretty similar like takes on for like how Black how like they relate to Black's memories. Excuse me. Shakur. So first, he explains recall, which is he explains it to like he relates it back to Black by saying like how when he was away during his exile, he had to recall things about Shakur, like what she looked like, what her voice was like, the memories they shared, who she was as a person. And that's kind of what I said in my video. And it was pretty cool. I feel like a lot of times me and Nathaniel kind of match in our views. Recognition. He said who she was and how different she was. I kind of related it back to like how he recognized the things from that house, like the old house that Shakur and her father used to live in. Like how when he saw those things, he was like, oh, it unlocked like memories. And I didn't really think about it as like recognizing her as a person, like now and like seeing her face and stuff. So that was definitely different from what I thought. So I found that really interesting. It was like a different outlook. And then relearn, he so explained it as like Black had to relearn what Shakur actually looked like, which I agree. He had to like looking like at her face also, but also her son. Like he was like, oh wait, I was kind of wrong with like what she looked like. Like I have to recognize that she looked much different from my memories. And so like she now, like she's aged, so she need like her looks are different, her voice, who she is as a person, yes. And she's like, she has children now, she's a widow, like she's been through things, like everything has changed about her, and now he has to relearn that. I also noticed how we both kind of recall information during quizzes. And I don't remember much, like me personally, I don't remember much of like old quizzes maybe, but I can tell you, I like maybe like a few things, but I can tell you more about recent things, like recent quizzes. And that's kind of like me of a sorts. And I liked how he also applied the 3 principles to himself, and explained it in a really good way. So that's first Nathaniel. Then Mia, so she said that I like how she explains like the novel, like the deeper meaning of the novel at the end of her video. I also like how she does explain the 3 principles of recall, recognition, and relearning. So first, she says that he had to recognize Shakur after all the years, kind of like Nathaniel. Like Black really had to recognize her. And she said that it exposes the gap between memory and reality, and I found that really interesting. I've never heard of that before, so that was actually really interesting. And then recall, she said that it blurred like the lines between what he remembers and what he wishes would have been. I could kind of see where she was going with that, and I could also kind of agree with it, like what he actually, his memories were not actually what it, like what's put in front of him. Like when he actually now sees what she looks like, it's totally different from, it's like different from what his memories are of her. And like, yeah. And then so she explained it how like or was that somebody else? No, that's somebody else. But how Black had to also explain how like Black had to relearn the new Shakur as a person, not just as a memory, what she was, and that also reminded me of Nathaniel. And also kind of along the lines of what I said, yes, he had to not only relearn what she looked like, but like learn about all the things she has gone through and like over that 12 years, which is a pretty long time. So, she also, like the way she explains recall recognition and relearn reminded me of like the Crash Course video itself. So in like the video it says multiple choice, like that's how you recognize, like recognition is more like a multiple choice process of elimination, and that's what she said, and it reminded me of the Crash Course video. And then relearning, seeing what you got wrong, relearn the correct answer. I think you agree, yes, you have to relearn. After he saw her face, like how he was wrong, he then had to fix it. And then recall memories, and then she related it back to the quizzes that we take. So she said recall memories for quiz of which you read. That's like what I do too. So then next is Lucas Delgado. I like how he explains the project. It's like a refresher, and it's like a good intro. He explains it, the outline, and then what is about to happen. And then the way he words things is actually really well, and I liked it. So he says that Black's thoughts of Shakur is romanticized, and then he recalled memories of the past of how she used to be, not of how she like is now. I like how before each example he presents like the textual evidence basically and explains it, he gives a definition of the principle itself. And I like that, and that's kind of what I did too. So yeah. And then recognition. So Black seeing Shakur again, saying he had to recognize the person from the past, like Mia and Nathaniel both said. They all said that. He had to recognize the past Shakur and not how she truly is. That's kind of what they were emphasizing. Then relearning Black's emotional journey was mentioned as well, which I found interesting. But for relearning, Black is learning who Shakur really is. It's painful, but it's necessary. It's something that he says, and I found that really interesting. And he says a gap between memory and reality, which is also what Mia Chavez says. They both say that. But he doesn't say it for recognition. She uses it for recognition. He uses it for relearning. When he explained his method, he says he doesn't recall much of the quizzes. I can understand why. Honestly, it's sometimes hard to kind of remember those little details. Yet they make so much difference. So he mentioned how he relied on recognition during quizzes, but then after time, he kind of got the gist of it, like the system set up, and then he finally recalled things. He also just overall explains the plot pretty well after, during that section, but also after when you have to remember the plot. So yeah, overall all three of them had really good videos, and that's my response to them. Also, I was reading this, so my notes. So yeah.